Good evening, STSC scholars. It's Professor Lopez, and there's a couple of things that we need to discuss that pertain to Unit 2. In particular, there is one activity on there that I did notice that some of you guys did try to attempt early, which again, it's great that you're starting to work on some things early, but there's something that we need to discuss with one of those activities because you actually need 7 days to complete it. So there is one of the activities in Unit 2 that you can't submit super early. I actually need to change the due date and extend it. So we're going to walk through each of those items in Unit 2 so you can see which one I'm referring to, all right? So here we go. Okay, so if you recall, if you're trying to access your lessons, you click on the Lessons tab on the left and go to Unit 2 Time Management. That's going to align with the time management chapter in your textbook. So most of your activities in here are going to be due on Tuesday, which I've seen a lot of you guys have started on them already. And again, I'll show you which one we're going to have to extend. So when you go into Unit 2, we have 2 presentations that are here. So how to manage your times. So there's a presentation that will load that you'll see here. So again, make sure that your pop-up blocker is off, and if you have any other things like a firewall up, you might have to disable it, and that way you can see what the information is going to be in there. Here's the second one. Wait. Okay, if the link expires, that's why we have the PDF version of it, so then you can still view the slides. And what this one is this is a presentation on how to actually go about managing your time and how you come up with how much study time you need to allocate for specific activities and for different classes. This is going to help you not only navigate through this accelerated summer session, but then also for those of you that may have already registered for classes already, and you're basing your study time off of what you're doing now with these foundational courses, we're going to have to increase that time. It's going to have to come from somewhere. So that's the purpose of these different types of activities, is for you to see what are you doing with your time. And as you get into those more challenging and more time-consuming courses, where are we going to be able to pull time from? So there's some additional videos down here that are going to go over how to manage your time. The first activity that you're going to have is the time management assessment form. Now this one is in PDF format, so this is one of the activities that was created before the COVID-19 situation. So if you are, able to open this in Google Docs, or if you're able to take the PDF version, convert it to a Word document, if you want to retype it, if you want to print it, however you want to do it, I'm good with that. Don't go out of your way to go find a printer. Okay? You don't have to, go to UPS or FedEx to go and find one. But if you do need to convert this document into a different file format because you're unable to print it, that is fine with me. And then what you're going to do is you're going to average up what you're going to be doing. So take into consideration the classes that would have been face-to-face, your true online classes, and hybrid courses, the ones that would meet like once a week, and then the rest of your work would be online. And then down here, let me show you where to turn that in. Oh yeah, and then when you turn it in, same thing like before, you click on the title, and then you're going to take that document and you're just going to attach the file. You click submit, and then that way that will send the document over to me for me to be able to enter the grade in for you. The second one is the calendar. So that's going to be column 2 under your Unit 2 assignments for when you go and grade them. So this one's a Word document. You should be able to get into it and type on it. Same thing, you can open it in Google Docs. and work on it on Microsoft Office Online. So this is your to-do list for the week. So look at your assignments for all your classes that you have, and you're going to break them down and develop an action plan to see how you're going to go about taking care of that work. It's especially important with you being in a 5-week accelerated session. And then same thing, you'll take that document once you're done typing out that information. Make sure that you save it where you can find it. Click on Browse My Computer, upload the document, click Submit. That will come to me and I will be able to grade it. Okay, now down here, these 2 documents right here, you don't have to do both. You can do one or the other because they're the same assignment, but I did them in 2 different formats. Again, because of the COVID-19 situation and you might not have access to a printer. This one's the PDF version. See, right here. So if you prefer this version, you want to print it out, go right ahead. What I did is I created an Excel version of the document right here. So if you're using an Apple product, you might have to open it in Sheets, or Microsoft Office Online is fine as well. And then I think you guys can also use, there should be some other software programs that you can use as well. I just can't remember what they are right now. I jotted them down and I forgot to put them. Oh. So make sure that you click on Enable Editing. The thing to make note of with this particular assignment, so this is the one I was referring to that you need 7 days to complete. Okay, so this is tab 1. That is tab number 3. It's a little bit smaller, so the whole thing fits on the screen. There we go. Okay, so see, this one has 3 separate tabs. So that's one of the things I noticed people did not see. So this one, tab number 1 in the workbook, this will represent what activities you plan to do over the course of 1 week. Meaning if you start with activities that you planned on day 1 of the second summer session, which was on Tuesday of last week, that would have been Tuesday, June 2nd, then remember you're going to have activities that are going to go all the way out, reflect through Tuesday of next week, which is going to carry you all the way to Tuesday, June 9th. So you're going to plan those activities all the way out. If you're going to start it for this weekend, let's say like if you're going to start your activities this Sunday, then same thing, you're going to carry it all the way out to next weekend. That's what I'm saying. I need to give you guys some more time, because even if you backdate it to Tuesday, you won't have enough time to actually finish it, because your assignment to do on Tuesday, you'd have to actually fill in everything, and I barely cleared you guys to do it. So you'll change this to the current month, which is June, and then you can actually change the week. See, week 1. Or if you're going to start it with this week, you can start it with this week. It does give you the option to see what day of the week you want to start with, whether you want to start with Sunday or Monday. And then you'll fill in your activities that you do for the week. So when you click on the little boxes, see the little plus sign right here? Click, there's a drop-down menu. The drop-down menu is going to give you a choice of your activities: sleep, class, work, friends, family, dating, date night with a significant other, study time, personal care, which that includes your morning routine. So brushing your teeth, washing your face. If you need to shower, you need to shave. Ladies, if you're going to be doing your makeup and all that kind of stuff, if you need to shave your legs, include all that in there. I know with me, I have very acne prone skin, so mine's not as simple as I'm gonna go wash my face. I've got my cleanser, my toner, my moisturizer, my primer, all of it. Preparing and eating meals. So allocate time for not only for when you're gonna eat, but if you're cooking or if you're gonna go out and make a run or something like that, then you want to include that as well. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Travel or commuting. If you're having to go in person to work, you want to account for that. Or if you're taking your kids or your siblings to practice, stuff like that you're having to actually go travel and go do. That time in the car is time that you do burn up. And a lot of times people don't think about that, but in my case in particular, when I was in graduate school and I was going to my school, one of our campuses was all the way in Frisco. The other campus was in Garland. And I worked in Southeast Fort Worth. So for me to try to even begin to think about making it to class by 6:30 p.m. and to try to take 35 George Bush or Spur 408, yeah, I'd be lucky if I'd get there in an hour if there was no traffic. And then I had to drive back home. So that's, 2 or 3 hours of your time just going back and forth to this school. So I had to factor that in, especially for every hour I spent in class. I had to allocate 5 to 6 hours outside of class at the graduate school level to study time. So doesn't sound like a lot, but it does add up. And it adds up very quickly. Exercising, if you are working out, co-curricular activities, community service, this is spiritual or religious activities, whether you're going to church or you're tuning in on live and you're live streaming, different hobbies that you have, your downtime if you're relaxing, online or social media time. So this is your time that you would spend on Instagram, Snapchat, all those different social media platforms. My downfall when I was in grad school was Pinterest, because remember, I was in the middle of planning a wedding and about to buy a house. So I would sit there and say, I'm going to take a break. And then an hour later, oh, well, I guess I was supposed to read that chapter, but I totally have all my wedding food figured out. So you got to watch those types of things. And then others. So if there's anything that is uncategorized, then you want to account for that here. And then remember, some of the stuff you might be multitasking. You might do it more than one time. So just like I was telling some of your classmates that tuned in for the drop-in virtual office hours, I was grading papers, I was meeting with students virtually online, and I was washing all those baby clothes that I just ordered. So yes, it was fun buying them, but they all had to be washed. So I was doing 3 or 4 things at one time today. And then, so what you'll do is you'll choose your activity, and then if you need more than one block, you do not have to go in there and click each individual one. If you see when you hover, there's going to be a little bitty square in the bottom right hand corner, and you see that the plus sign that is kind of clear changes to a plus sign that is black. You can drag and drop that down and it will autofill for you. So if you don't get up until 9 o'clock in the morning, then you can fill all that in, and then you can fill it across as well. So if every day, this is the time I get up, then see, all you have to do, fill it across. That's it. But a lot of times, I fill in my sleep time first. I know what time I typically get up, or what time little girl tends to wake me up, and then I know what time I go to bed. And then if you need to adjust the times on here or add additional times, you could do that if you needed to. You would just have to add a couple of cells, or you can just leave it like that. It's up to you. Okay, so again, that is the planned activities. What do you plan to do over the course of 7 days? So there's another tab. It looks exactly the same. These are your actual activities that you do. So if you're going to start on this tomorrow, then you need to actually record, maybe you planned to sleep until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, but I don't know, the neighbors were out mowing the lawn and you actually only slept until 7:30. So then you would reflect the actual time that you slept for that day. And then what it does is it runs a comparison for you. So you scheduled 21 hours of sleep for the week. You actually only got X number of hours of sleep. So here's the difference. And this is what you want to look at to see if you break even with your scheduled versus actual times, or if you're actually getting to, additional time, or if other activities or other things are coming up. Okay. So this part, yes, can absolutely be done in advance. So those of you guys that have already started this assignment, tab number 1, you do not have to make any changes to it. Whatever you have here is fine. This is probably the second tab because it's actual. You probably need to make some adjustments to this. Do you have to redo it completely? No. But there might be a few adjustments you might need to make. Normally when I see people, if they need to make adjustments, they need to make adjustments because of their sleeping schedule. Either they went to bed earlier, or they slept in, they had to get up earlier for some reason. Their work schedule might have changed. So there's instances where people may have taken off of work, they took a vacation day, or they called in sick, or they worked some overtime. So you might need to adjust your work hours if you got some OT in. And then I've also seen some adjustments in terms of study time. So you may have had all the intentions in the world to study for math for 3 hours tomorrow, but in reality you didn't get a chance to do it at all because you had an exam or paper to prepare for your English class. So what we want to do is, if something like that happens, we want to be able to go back and trace what actually happened. Okay, and that's the purpose of this activity. So make sure when you do this, you save it, put your name on it, so then that way when I go and download them, it's easier for me to find it. And then I'll ask you guys some questions, follow-up questions about these as you turn them in. Okay, so that's the main one. Okay, and it says it right here. It's just, I apologize for not putting up the video sooner, but it does say on here, you need a full 7 days to complete this activity. Again, you will need a full 7 days to complete this activity. And we want to see, there's 24 hours in a day, approximately, 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. Multiply that, you get 168 hours. Did you go spot on? Did you go over? Or are you multitasking and are you well over 200 hours and you're in the middle of June already? I typically see that with our new moms. So I know I had one young lady who had like 260 hours on her schedule, and people were like, how'd you have 260? Well, she had a 2-week-old at home. So she was cooking dinner and washing clothes and feeding the baby and watching TV and spending time with her significant other all at the same time. So yes, it is possible. So if you go over, don't worry about it. That's fine. We just want to see how you're spending your time, and let us know, hey, what does the weather look like in a couple weeks? Okay. So yeah, so those of y'all that did this early, I will notify you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear it, so then that way I'm going to clear your attempt. So I'm going to take it off to give you an opportunity to edit the assignment. And then all you have to do is re-upload it once you have completed your 7th day, depending on when you start on the activity. All right. So yeah, so it will take it off. Make sure that you save a copy of it before I clear it. Okay. Then down here you have your 5-day test prep program. And this one right here, I think is a Word document. I mean, a PDF document. But you see it's a simple chart. You can do this in Word. You can do this in Excel. You can do this on Microsoft Office Online. Remember, if you do this in Pages or Sheets, just make sure that you export those documents either back over to Microsoft Word or Excel, or you convert it to a PowerPoint before you send it to me. Because if it's in Pages or Sheets or any other file format, I can see it, but I can't open it. If there's a problem with it, I will let you know. And then just like the other assignments, you'll click on the title, you will upload your document, click submit, and that will turn it in. And then you have a discussion board post here. So the rubric is going to explain to you what I'm going to be looking for. Okay? So in 3 to 4 sentences, discuss how effectively scheduling your time has helped you complete your task for school. So provide examples. All right, so you've probably already seen a couple things, not just for this class, but for some of your other classes, since things are going pretty fast. I know I've got quite a few of you guys that are pretty close to done with Unit 2 already. A lot of y'all have finished at least the very first activity for Unit 1, which is great. So talk about how that's beneficial. And then if there's been instances in the past, whether it's been at TCC or other schools, high school, maybe even at work, how has maybe procrastination or maybe not giving yourself enough time to get that work done, how has that resulted in stress or maybe that quality of that product that you actually turned in, whether it was, again, for work or for school? And then respond to 2 classmates about that, and that should take care of it. And then this is one of the videos that I had, but this was based on edition 2 of the book. Most of the content is the same. The only thing that's going to be different is probably the page numbers, but the content is exactly the same. So that way you can listen to my voiceover on that. So what you'll want to keep in mind, and you'll want to jot this down. So grab a pen or paper, or if you want to record this part, you can. So remember, as you're planning your schedule and as you're doing this activity, for every 1 hour you spend in class, whether it's in person, online, or a combination of it, you need to set aside 2 to 3 hours of study time outside of class. Okay, so our class is a 1-hour course, which means ideally you need to be allocating 2 to 3 hours per week to get our content finished. That's in a normal situation if we're talking about the 16-week class. This isn't a 16-week class. This is 5. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that is crystal clear. So you see the study time is going to increase exponentially because the course is only 1/3 of the length of what you would see for a normal 16-week course. And yeah, it varies depending on the course. As you get into more of those upper level courses, so those of y'all that are getting ready to take like anatomy and physiology, for example, microbiology, some of your chemistries, some of those more advanced classes, you're going to need more time. Like I would err on the side of caution of going with 3 hours for every 1 hour that you're in class instead of 2. 2 might be enough to get you a C. And medical folks, what did I tell you? C may be for college, but C's not going to cut it. C won't get you into the nursing program, or it's not going to get you into dental. So what that means is if you're enrolled in 6 hours right now, right? Which is typically 2 classes, maybe speech and art appreciation. then you take the 6, multiply it times 2, that's going to give you 12. And then if you're going to go with the 3-hour rule, 6 times 3 is 18. So what that means is if you're in 2 classes, and we're talking about 2 16-week classes, you need to allocate 12 to 18 hours on your schedule. Somewhere, it's got to come from somewhere for you to study for that class. You may not need it right now, but I would say this time next year, once you get into those more advanced classes, those more advanced college level classes, you won't have a choice. You're going to have that time. Especially if you're talking about like 18 hours of study time, that's a part-time job. That's 2 classes. And you want to increase that time knowing that we are on an abbreviated schedule. This is 5 weeks. If you're doing 9 hours, so that's 3 classes. 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 3 is 27. 18 to 27 hours of study time per week. And if you are full-time, so you're talking about anywhere from 24 to 36 hours of study time. Once you hit that university level, the 2 won't cut it. And really the 3 doesn't cut it. I would say if you're going with the 36 hours of study time with 12 credit hours, which is approximately 4 classes, or 3 if you're in advanced math or in your sciences, 36 hours of study time will probably get you a C, depending on how rigorous your program is. So hint, hint, engineers, hint, hint, my business students that are going to have like math for business and social sciences, business calculus, computer science people, you're going to need time. And then for certain programs, what you need to do, so this is why we're doing the project towards the end of the class, but you'll want to start on it early, is the expectations for your specific program that you would be going into. So at my university, for the engineering students in particular, it wasn't built as a 4-year program. It was built as a 5-year program, and that included them taking classes every single summer and enrolling in 16 to 7 credit hours minimum per semester. So they were beyond full-time, and it still took them 5 years to get done. So you need to know that up front. So yeah, we never saw them, but hey, all my engineering friends are doing pretty well, especially the aerospace people. They all got on with NASA, so they just disappeared for 5 years, and then hey, they all work in Houston now. So you need to know that up front. You're going to have to invest that time. And remember, this is just class time and study time, like homework and doing your book work and things like that. What you also need to account for, sciences. You have labs. Medical students, you're going to have clinicals where you're going to have to intern in those hospitals, clinics, and nursing homes. You need to have time to do that. Teachers, once you take EDUC 1301 and EDUC 2301, that's intro to teaching and introduction to special populations. You have required observation hours that you have to do on top of your study time. That is a state requirement, and you can get all that work done that you want to in that class. If you don't do those observation hours, you cannot sit for the state exam. It's like that. And each of those classes, you're going to have to set aside, it's approximately 16 hours of study time, 16 hours of observation hours per course. So if you're taking more than one education class, you need a set of observation hours for one class, and you need a separate set for another class. I tried it myself, and this was while I was working full-time and taking full-time hours, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I'm taking 3 education classes. Now I have to go do volunteer work too, otherwise I can't teach in the state of Texas, period. There's nothing they can do about it. So you got to account for that. And then I'm trying to think who else would have stuff. So yeah, the medical folks, the teachers, you got stuff to plan for. Engineers, computer sciences, yeah, you want to find out with your next step at your university level what your expectations are going to be. And also you want to start thinking ahead of what type of grades you're going to be shooting for, given the time that you have, especially those of y'all that are full-time workers, because what you're going to encounter is on the websites for some of the area universities, yeah, the transfer GPA might be one thing to get into the university. The GPA required to get into your specific program could be different. It could be higher. And I've seen it happen. It happened at my university where for the business students, I know several of y'all are studying business. You're gonna go to UT Austin's business school? Yeah, you're gonna need about a 3.8 GPA, which is over a 95% average. So it's essentially straight A's. Anything lower than that, they won't even look at your application. My friend worked in the office. He watched them shred anybody's application who had less than a 3.8. That's off the record, but yes, that did happen. But it doesn't say that on the website. So yeah, the website could say 3.0. But based on competition and based on reality, it could be a 3.5 or a 3.8. Medical students, I told y'all, your requirements are going to say like a 3.5 or a 3.6, which is about a 95% average. So pretty much all A's and B's. What they're not going to tell you is with those A and P classes and the microbiology classes that you need are A or a B. On the website, it says a C is okay. In reality, that's not the case. Because your GPA won't make the cut. On the HESI exam, they're going to test you over anatomy and physiology. And there's so many people that want to get into the medical programs, they have to find a way to distinguish the top students from the pack. So what you guys need to be aware of, so again, nursing, dental, ultrasound, like the sonogram program, physical therapy, respiratory radiology, all of y'all, those of y'all that have the selective admission programs, you have 2 attempts for each of your science classes. They only look at 2. So, you need to get an A or a B. If it looks like you're going to get a C, drop the class, try again. But the drop will count. So a D counts against you, you got to retake it. An F counts against you, you need to retake it. If you drop the class, you got one more shot. And just like I was saying, if it looks like you're going to get a C in that class, then you might as well drop it and allocate your time to some of your other classes and take that loss. Just you need to make sure you find out ahead of time if you're going to owe back money before you make a move on that. So make sure you talk to one of us and talk to financial aid or business services before you do anything. But yeah, like if you're trying to take 2 sciences at a time, one of them's an A, one of them's a C, chances are I'd probably tell you, back out of the second one so you can put all your energy into the first one. Start again fresh with the second one so you can get an A in it. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to do a victory lap anyway. All right. So in the time management piece, what they're not going to come out and explicitly say is, yeah, we want to try to get you guys through your coursework as quickly and efficiently as possible. But we don't want you to rush through to the point where you end up having to retake a bunch of classes, because that's going to throw off your timeline anyway. So use that formula I was telling you about. For every 1 hour you're in class, set aside 2 to 3 hours of study time per class. That way that's going to help you decide, I'm going to take 2 classes over the summer, like 2 classes in July. I'm going to take 3 classes in August. So August to December, I got 3. January through May, I'm going to do another 3. Next summer, I'm going to do another 2. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you what your projected graduation date is going to be. And then if you need to make adjustments to it, then now you're going to know ahead of time, especially if you're trying to, in case something comes up. There's going to be certain programs, my technical programs in particular, that, you may plan to take one of your classes in August, but if we can't go back in person, they're going to cancel it. You might not be able to do that until January. So in your head, you might be thinking, I'm graduating in May 2022, when in reality, it could be December, and it's not even anything that has to do with you. It's for those technical programs, you have to have that hands-on face-to-face component. So give yourself some wiggle room in case something comes up. Classes get canceled for low enrollment. Classes get dropped for non-payment. Given the situation we're in right now, the technical programs are suffering like big time. My poor aviation and my aviation students, oh my goodness. Because we had the people that were in there in the spring when everything got shut down. They're not running any classes this summer. The fall program is full if we can run it. Spring, the wait list is almost full, and it says straight up on the website, if you're doing aviation maintenance and technology, or like the power plant stuff, then to start those classes, whether you're in a degree or certificate, you're going to probably have to wait until fall 2021. And that's just one program. So you need to start planning for that right now, because that's just with aviation. So we got to think welding, heating and conditioning, my automotive people, my electronics folks. Trying to think. The auto body and collision people. I know I've had issues with that one too, because if you're going to go restore vehicles and restore the upholstery, you got to be able to do it in person. For your sciences, you need to think about. They're offering the sciences remotely, but if you're not comfortable playing kitchen scientist and you're taking chemistry, then you might not be applying to your program when you think you're going to apply, because you want to wait until we resume on-campus operations. And I know personally with me, even though I was a very strong science student, physics, yeah, I'll do that in person. I mean, I can handle it online. Chemistry, I would be the one that would like blow a hole in my kitchen wall, trying to sit there and mix stuff. That would be something I would personally want to wait for to do in person. I know me, I am clumsy, and I would drop some sort of Bunsen burner or beaker on my kitchen floor and torch my house. I just know that's who I am. So you want to think about that, okay? Think about the speed and how you pair up some of your classes. So remember, it's not a race to get done on time. It's we need to get you done, period, and get you across the stage. Okay? It's like a game of chess. You got to be very strategic about it. So if you're working with me directly, and if it seems like I'm kind of slowing you down a little bit, and you're kind of like, well, I want to take 6 classes, and I'm like, no, I think you should do 3. Trust me on this. It's because I'm looking at everything else that you've already brought to the table, and I'm looking at how you paired up those courses, and I already know ahead of time that you're running the risk of either having to drop courses or having to retake courses anyway. So I'd rather have you take an extra semester and get into your program of your choice on the first try than for you to either blow your opportunity to get in, or you end up having to take a class 2 or 3 times. Make sense? Okay. So yeah, so if there's nothing else that you've taken away from that, take special consideration into that study time. You may not need it right now, but this time next year, we need to know where that time is going to come from. It's going to have to come from some other activity. So your other family members, you're going to have to sit down, have a family meeting with them. You're going to have to chip in. They're going to have to chip in on some things. Some things are going to have to wait till the weekend. Some things are going to have to get put on the back burner. That's the reality of this situation. And that's where I see people struggle. It is not the work. It is balance. Once you master balance, you're home free. Okay? All right, y'all. So that's all I got for the time management unit, which is unit 2 in my TCC. So if you have any additional questions for me about it, either email me or message me on Teams. I've added everybody into Microsoft Teams so you can join in on those virtual office hours. I do have some times set aside for tomorrow. So I've got 2 different time blocks. You're also welcome to schedule a one-on-one appointment with me during the week. Look back at that post so you can see what my schedule looks like, because remember, with me academic advising as well, my job isn't just academic advising. We've got meetings, we've got projects, I've got presentations. There's so much stuff that we have going on, and it's a lot of stuff that I have to finish before the end of July, before I go on maternity leave too. Okay? So yeah, tomorrow is the official beginning of my third trimester, 28 weeks. So I am racing the clock myself. All right. So I guess I will talk to y'all soon. Keep studying hard. I'll go back in and I'll look ahead at your other units just to make sure that there's nothing else that's in there that we need to make adjustments to. If we do, I will make sure I get that announcement out to y'all right away. All right, thank you guys so much and keep up the good work. Bye.